Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Hare Krishna. Welcome. We are reading Bhagavad-gita as it is. This edition is translated and comments are by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Labanga Latika. We are presently reading the 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, and we get to hear a lot about our situation in this world and also how to do something about it. I'm reading text 16. Jnanena tu tadajnanang yeshang nashitamatmanaha teshang adityavajnanang prakashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Now that is fantastic. Purport. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad-gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena Jnanagni Sarvakarmani and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed, and what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as it is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mang prapadyate. After passing through many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience, or Satan, is greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and, under him, learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all nescience as the sun drives away darkness. Yes, that's how knowledge works, that's how light works. If we are in a dark night and we're missing the sun, it's not that we can take out a big lamp and go and find the sun. The sun itself will remove all the darkness. And Krishna consciousness, that is the light of the soul. Right now, Krishna allows us to be in ignorance because somehow or another we had that desire, and somehow or another we became entangled in this world, and we are holding on to that desire. So we cannot artificially or mechanically or by some technique get out of that ignorance. That ignorance is part of life in this world. And as long as we are having those desires to remain in that illusion, we will stay there. But that actual true knowledge from the soul, it is still there, only now it is covered. And by this process that Krishna has been recommending and describing in Bhagavad-gita, it is possible to come back to that uncovered position. This is like if we're indoors and we, even in the daytime, we can sometimes close our doors and windows and curtains in such a way that no light comes in. And we cannot create that sunlight. We can turn on some lamps, of course, but it's never the same. But as soon as we open, the real sun will give us that knowledge and all the darkness will be gone. And that's what spiritual realization is about. We cannot sit down and make a logical calculation according to our experience in this material world, because that experience does not include the spiritual world. We may have an intuition, certainly, because we are originally of the spiritual nature, but that intuition is not infallible, because the present situation, the present conditioning, the present mix of desires in our heart will come into play. And therefore we want to hear from Krishna, and we want to take direction from somebody who is in that condition of spiritual realization of Krishna consciousness. And so many interesting philosophies are going on in this world. We actually often hear this, that either we just want to be materialists, or sometimes when people take an interest in spiritual life and hear from some source that is that have an impersonal view of the Supreme, then this idea comes up that right now we're in illusion, but once that illusion goes away, we can be God. And that's refuted here. The more we read Bhagavad-gita, we will find that is refuted over and over again. Because if we are God, we will not be in illusion. Because then illusion is stronger than God, and then what is the whole meaning to that? What is the whole definition of God? Well, it's not somebody who's cut up into small pieces that individually fall into illusion. That's not God at all. We are the small part and parcels of God. We have His qualities, but in minute quantity. And our free will has somehow or another led us to this place where Krishna has allowed us to come under this illusion, because that's how it works here. But He's also quite able to take us out of that illusion. So yes, that is the spiritual process. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all the respect ordinarily paid to God, because he has knowledge of God. One has to learn the distinction between God and the living entity. Lord Sri Krishna therefore stated in the 2nd chapter 2:12 that every living being is individual, and that the Lord is also individual. They were all individuals in the past, they are all individuals at present, and they will continue to be individuals in the future, even after liberation. As at night we see everything as one in the darkness, but in day, when the sun is up, we see everything in its real identity. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. Yeah, I will read this verse again because it was very beautiful. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So it's a how to say, it's an assurance from Krishna that even if right now we are not on that realized level of knowledge, we can come there. It does not depend on our ability or our understanding right now. We have to understand something. We have to apply our intelligence. We have to we can't just blindly step into anybody who tells us they have a process and just try it out. No, there is certain logic and understanding in the Bhagavad-gita too. But that level of realization that we are not at present, we cannot imagine it. So Krishna describes it. And then in that position, the rest of the knowledge is just seen as much as when the sun rises in the morning. Suddenly everything that was just one homogeneous darkness is revealed in all its individual components. I think I will read another verse, text 17. Tad buddhayas tadatmanas tanishthas tad parayana gachantya punaravriting jnana nirdhuta kalmasaha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. The purport: the Supreme Transcendental Truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad-gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mata paratarang nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi pratisthaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness, is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings, and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna-conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity and individuality in Krishna, and equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. Yeah, so I think Prabhupada is stressing this personal viewpoint a little bit extra, because these verses have probably been utilized in an impersonal sense by other commentators in the past, because these two schools are there in India, the personal and the impersonal. And whereas we studying Bhagavatam, studying Bhagavad-gita, this understanding is there that the Supreme is realized in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And it is quite possible to follow a path that gives you realization of the impersonal feature. As soon as you're saying the impersonal is all there is, and therefore Krishna is Maya, that is very offensive in the face of the Lord, and it is very it's very hard to hear something like that. It's just like if you know a person and then somebody comes and says, oh, he doesn't exist. That's just your imagination. And when that's just rude. That's not how we approach spiritual life at all. But many do, and therefore these passages where we stress the person again and again, they come up again and again. Still, we understand these words to mean when we take that refuge in Krishna and become fully cleansed of the misgivings, then the path of liberation is very straight. So, but that liberation is never impersonal. So that's what we want to do. We want to make steady progress on the path of liberation. And that is also, the word steady describes a person who has a certain level of realization in this process. So that's what we want to do. And that's what we're going to continue to do by reading this Bhagavad-gita and applying that knowledge. And especially, as it was said in the previous verse, when we're able to take shelter of such a person who has in turn taken shelter of their spiritual master and have been given this knowledge and have been developing. There are different ways to become very Krishna conscious. Some can develop it through following this process, and some may come here already in that consciousness just to share it with others. But we do that. We find this process is very much dependent on a person. It's very personal in every respect. I am a person, you are a person, and if whatever we do, we will do it with our own individual presence in the process. Krishna is a person, and that spiritual master who can guide us to Krishna is also a person. So we understand the principle, we get that certain level of knowledge by studying the Bhagavad-gita, but we also understand that the complete realized knowledge is possible by revelation from Krishna, and that revelation comes when he is pleased with us, and therefore he has given us a certain process to follow, both to help us and both because that's how it actually works. And also when we do that, that pleases Krishna and he will reveal himself more and more. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.